Hello, hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
It's
Friday.
It's
We did it.
Friday.
We made it.
FriYAY.
I am pretty pleased
I
it's
know.
Friday. Actually, sometimes I'm into what I'm doing, and I'm like, I don't care. And then today,
The weather looks good where you are.
Yeah.
What is that?
The weather looks good where you are.
Yeah, Sacramento. Where
Oh,
are you?
Yeah. Boston. It's just, I don't know, gray and sad today. It's like the April showers, but in May. We're just delayed
Yeah.
a few weeks. But I'm sticking through it.
Yeah. Summer's here. It'll be hot and everything before we know it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mark,
I'm
hey
down
Mark.
I'm down near Philly, and it's also raining. And my son has his annual field trip to an amusement park today for being an orchestra and band. Not going to be the best day for riding roller coasters.
Ooh.
But he gets to spend the day not at school, so I guess it's not bad either.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. I don't remember the last time I rode a roller coaster. I don't think I'll return either because they don't maintain the infrastructure these days. That's why I'm paranoid.
Oh yeah,
It's not like when I was in like my mid-teens and I'd go to Canada's Wonderland and everything was fun. And now you hear about stories of things just falling apart, and it's like, nope, not happening.
Ned,
I don't have the
I'm
stomach.
sure your kid's gonna be fine today.
Right.
I'm not concerned. We actually went to this amusement park. It's called Dorney Park. We went there last summer, and I rode roller coasters for like the first time in 8 years. I regretted that the next day. Once you get over like 45, you just wake up and things hurt. It's just how it works. And like applying G forces to that just multiplies the problem.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm ahead of the curve. I am not in my 40s yet, and I'm already there.
It's awesome. Love it.
All right. Well, why don't you have
We have a special guest today.
Exactly, we do. Why don't we have you introduce yourself, Nnenna?
Oh, yes. I almost forgot I was here. So my name is Nnenna, and I live in Boston. Hey, Roselle. We were just talking about how gloomy the weather is. But I'm a software engineer, developer, advocate, and for some reason, just super obsessed with AI. I'm just one of those people. It's like when you get a hold of something that you're super curious about, I kind of just take off running with it. So that's what I've been doing in my free time, which I have quite a bit of right now. And trying to see how I can leverage it for some different projects that have always been sitting in my mind, but haven't really executed on.
You've been up to a lot lately. I've been watching your posts. I've been watching what you've been putting out there. A little mix of security, a little mix of AI. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to learn as much as I can on the engineering side of it, but also just what's happening holistically in the space. So when I think holistic, I'm also considering the security as well, related to large language models. And I think one of the best ways to learn and feel like you want to share is by doing and like building. And so I'm kind of having AI help me to figure out how can I hit the ground running with building something. For example, different tutorials for LLM ops or ML ops, and use different open source tools to go through the process of building it, create the tutorial, and then like film and share. I think ChatGPT's got a little too aggressive with me and like generated a very in-depth list of 27 tutorials using a bunch of different open source tools that will map to each stage in the LLM ops like life cycle. So I'm intimidated, but like that's kind of what I mean when it's like when you want to go full force, these tools will provide all of the opportunity to do it by coming up with a plan, and the only thing that could hold you back really is you. And you could hit the ground running if you want, or run away screaming. I saw you nodding your head.
Sometimes I run away screaming before I come back, and I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Right. It takes a little bit of time to catch up. But one of the things that's I think AI is helping me with in general, like I said, was just content creation. Like I have a blog, nnennahex.com, and I talk about a lot of things related to developer relations, AI, software engineering in general. Whenever I come up with an idea or I attend an event and I get inspired by what I hear, I want to somehow translate that into some content that I can share. But that whole content creation process can take 5 ever if you just want to do it manually, right? And since we have lives and the bills show up on the 1st of every month, no matter what, it's just like, why not let something like ChatGPT or Manus, which I just got my hands on, by the way, very excited about it. Why not let them, or I guess invest enough time so that it understands you enough to be able to build some aspect of the content creation process for you. So
Rewind just a little bit. ChatGPT, or what was the other thing you said?
Manus AI. I don't know if y'all have heard of it or used it. Oh, I see no's and Marino said yes.
I had a few folks tell me about Manus previously. It's kind of like an enhanced ChatGPT, if you will, and very much more intentional and specific about like getting your output versus you having to constantly explain to ChatGPT the final answer that you're looking for.
Exactly.
Rizel's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Oh, now we're gonna have the Vim versus Emacs of the AI wars.
Oh my god! And I remember being that person. That was like years ago. I switched between both of them depending on who I was working with. But I tried Goose. I did during a workshop, but I haven't gotten back to it yet, and I need to. This is another thing about this AI space, and yes, you should try it, Nick. Another thing about this AI space, there's so many tools coming out. I don't have enough time in the day to explore them and even try to like compare. So it just kind of happens randomly. And when something's just like good enough that it sticks until the next feature comes out, maybe another tool, and then you try that out again. But I do have Manus pulled up if you wanted to see that process that Marino was just talking about, how intuitive it is. I don't know what to click here, but.
Oh, I can. Do you want me to add your screen to stage again?
Yes, try adding.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to skip over the fact that I did drop the whole Emacs versus Vim wars, and Nina's just over here like, I did both.
Yes. Well, I was working with like some engineers who were like masters of computer science, and they were just like hardcore nerds. I had to level up with them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There was a point where I was so fluent in both, like I never touched my mouse. Like it was incredible. Yeah, lost those skills, but I'd like to gain them back. But Manus. Yeah, so this is, I will not show you my prompt because it's probably something really ridiculous about me hyping myself up. So we'll just start at the point where I have pasted in some content. And this content was inspired by a workshop at Harvard that I went to, where some McKinsey consultant broke down the taxonomy of AI risks. And so I was like, oh my God, I need to write about this. And so I pasted in, it's going to show it. I pasted in a bunch of content that I had already written about it. And I said, go run and do awesome things. Meaning I want you to review it, and I want you to focus on how to improve it and find some resources that are credible, some sources, and then plug that into the writing. So it just went on this long like analysis process, searching for all of these relevant terms, finding some credible sources. Like I think we could see a little MIT here. Anything that says MIT, I think people are gonna say I'm probably gonna pay attention to more than not. So this long process of just I don't know, figuring everything out. And that was only one prompt, right? Which to me is like already a good sign. And once it finally created the final version of the blog post, I mean, it's here and it's very detailed. And if you could see, there's like sources. And if I go all the way down to the bottom, I see a list of all of the references that are used. I see NIST here, Deloitte, Stanford. I'm like, okay, this is, from a high level, this is already looking good. But what was most interesting to me was all the files that it saved and that it went through throughout the duration of the task. And this file was the most interesting, AI Risk Blog Improvement Plan. So I was like, oh, I get insight into exactly how it analyzed my original blog post. And it was like, okay, you've got a good foundation of the McKinsey framework. You've got some strong points, but it lacks the depth on most recent developments. You need specific examples and actionable takeaways. And then it just went crazy with updating everything that I needed in order to make this, I don't know, a bit more of have some resources that seemed a bit more like research heavy and things that would back up the feelings that I felt already about an event I attended. So yeah, from there, I basically would copy and paste it and pull it into Napkin AI. If y'all haven't heard about it, it's a tool where you can essentially copy and paste the content that you want to generate images or diagrams for that you can't come up with on your own. And it just gives you a list of all of these different diagrams. Some of them are a little wacky, but you can.
I like that fish diagram though.
The bone.
Okay, so
That was so creepy.
here's one of my big things about AI, and there's a lot of controversy around using it right now, just in different communities. And my big thing is, instead of like, you had this idea for content based on something you attended, and normally I would leave something like that and I might write like 2 or 3 bullet points of things that I'd like to explore more, right? But with LLM and such, those little bitty scribbles are a lot more accessible to explore just with the time commitment that we're discussing. And now I'm looking at you with it, using this Napkin AI thing. I'm sorry, there's a squirrel, and well, the dogs are enjoying it. But the Napkin AI thing and these diagrams here, sometimes I really struggle to imagine different ways of visualizing certain information.
Yep.
And here you're just scrolling through different ways of visualizing the information. So really, realistically, it is a powerful communication tool, even for the person who's trying to digest new information. Because we all learn different ways anyway. I'm appreciating this. I hadn't seen Napkin.
Yeah, I agree. This is something that I struggle with coming up with on my own. I can kind of visualize, but I need that extra push. I need something to actually give me ideas. And then I start to develop opinions about, actually, this is what I was thinking, or that's not really the correct interpretation that I had in mind. But it just pushes you forward, that next extra step that you need to, like, actually complete things. And if you're someone like me, having 1,000 tabs open in your brain at a time and like not fully completing some stuff that you were originally excited about, that's annoying. And I feel like that's so, I don't know, pre AI tools. I'm like, there's no excuse now. And let me just go creatively wild with this kind of stuff and see what happens.
I find that I'm a contrarian by nature. When people have strong opinions, I want to be like, no, you're wrong. You lie. And so the idea of having like Manus or something else write something that I might not agree with, it helps me sharpen my opinions. So even if I'm not going to use like half of what it writes, just having a counterpoint or a foil, that seems super useful for content creation.
So you mean that you'll come up with, or you'll use Manus to back up your contrarian claims?
I mean, I've never used Manus, but I could see myself doing that because
Yeah.
it's like I think I have an opinion, but then when something else expresses a strong opinion, I can gauge my reaction to that, and that might help me sharpen how I'm feeling about something and have that informed. So I'd almost want to be like, write the opposite of the post that I
Ooh.
want, and then I'm going to create my post based off that. Like build a straw man, but more of a steel man, really.
I really like that because that contrarian reaction is something that I have been accused of a lot. I consider it a superpower. Hello, thank you. But realistically, like a lot of times when ChatGPT or something does generate something, and I'm just like, no, this should be this instead. Like, but it's concrete, and it's I've almost called it a paragraph editor before instead of a word editor. It's like you're taking chunks of ideas and processing them instead of having to write the individual words one at a time. And that has helped a lot with being able to take complex ideas and learn them faster.
Absolutely. Were you just about to say something?
Nope.
But yeah, I agree. I would definitely now want to try that contrarian style content, like I guess research or something. That is a unique way of actually learning more, and I hadn't considered that before.
Antagonist. I do have AI antagonize itself a lot, so I'll have two different ChatGPTs open. I'll have one actually generate the response. I'll pick it apart a little bit, and then I'll take that output. I'll use it as input for a prompt in another one and be like, my silly little intern wrote this, and I need you to like pick it apart, right? Like you're an editor or something like that. And it really does help to just have it actually antagonize itself.
That sounds like I saw someone on Twitter X, whichever we want to call it, who made, I guess, like would get an output from ChatGPT and then post into Claude or something and be like, this is what ChatGPT wrote. Do you think you could do better than that? And like created competition between the two, and it made them like outperform, I guess, the work that they had done before. And yeah. Haven't tried.
Yeah, I've definitely done that. I've put it through multiple passes back and forth between a couple, depending on how rigorous the information is.
Right?
The robots are really going to hate us.
Why? We're using them.
That's true.
Isn't that that's what robots want, right?
Well, I mean, I'm like, that robot didn't do good enough. I bet you can do better. Back and forth. It's like you were pitting us against each other all along.
Oh yeah, if they find out, it's game over. Like the jig is up. I'm running for cover, going off the internet for good. But yeah, this is like
an AI. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, right? I definitely encourage people to try it out. It is free right now, like beta mode. And who knows how long some of these tools are going to be free. I keep trying to remind myself of that. It's like we are in a very new, innovative age, and I just got to max out. Or what did people call it? Skills max? Oh my God, I think my age is showing now. Skill max, whatever you call it. It's that's what I got to do, because who knows, I'll wake up tomorrow and it's like, oh, $100 a month membership. And I'm just like, this isn't a gym. Like, this is
first dose is free. We are very much in a first dose is free AI market right now. Even the paid stuff is heavily subsidized by venture capital. So, I mean, the actual economics of this entire industry right now, I'm a little worried about, just because we are baking AI into everything, everywhere right now. And at the moment, downstream consumers and B2B consumers are building their economic models on current pricing, and we will improve technology to bring down the price, but that doesn't necessarily translate directly into lower prices, because I mean, what is market cap of AI right now? There is a lot of billions that have to be paid back at some point of time.
I mean, OpenAI churns through like $10 billion a month or something, right? That, like, their run rate is ridiculous.
Whoa.
And they're not
Yeah.
making that money.
No,
Not
at
yet,
some
at least.
point,
Not yet. No.
we're all going to be on the hook for paying that back as an industry.
What are they making? How are they?
It's definitely not my ChatGPT Plus membership.
Right, because I was like, there's no way. There's no way I'm keeping the lights on at OpenAI.
Well, they gave up on trying to become a full for-profit, which I was like,
Did they?
well, sort of. I don't know. It's confusing.
Okay.
They're still a nonprofit board, but they're still a for-profit section. But I think the irony is that they don't make any profits, so they're like a non-nonprofit.
They're like a not-for-profit that wanted profit, but it's accidentally not profiting.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound very intelligent. I'm just saying.
Maybe they should ask ChatGPT to reword it for them. I don't know.
Maybe they should ask ChatGPT if it wants to be for profit.
Ooh, spicy.
I like it.
That's hilarious.
Mark,
This,
sorry.
this napkin AI thing, I want to hear more about how you use that, because I am terrible at creating visualizations. It is like my kryptonite. If you ever see me work in PowerPoint, it makes everyone sad. So maybe like napkin AI can help me build visualizations off of what I've been writing.
Yeah. This is probably looks a little bit janky, but this is an example of a blog post or something that I wanted to create around ML ops and security. And just like having these bullet points or numbered lists with some information, that's what it needs in order to kind of summarize the value of that section, and then be able to generate some type of diagram that will be useful, or some visualization that will be most useful. And from there, you can edit it. I don't know if it can show that part. Yeah. From there, you can edit all the different colors, the outline. It gets really detailed, and also the fonts too, and kind of reposition some things. And the background color as well, which it depends. You might want it to be transparent, might want it to be black. And then when you export it, you can just do a copy and paste with the clipboard, or just download it as a PNG file or something, and just upload it to wherever you need to use it for. That's the workflow that I have right now. I'm getting to a point, I feel a little bit spoiled, because I feel like there should be an even faster process to editing this. Like, I want to get to a point where I don't even have to move my mouse around. I can just speak and all of that stuff happens. That would be next gen.
That would be super cool.
I feel like this is going to eat PowerPoint and Google Slides for lunch and dinner.
Well, the thing I immediately thought of is Canva has to buy this company.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Okay.
This is what I want in Canva that doesn't exist today, is just being able to drop in, here's a text prompt for a full, like, editable graphic. Go make it for me.
They kind of had their big like announcement or something, and they were showcasing
Canva AI or something.
Yeah, and I was expecting so much more than the result, and I've been trying so hard. I pay for Canva, and I don't know why I do.
You know what?
Just,
I almost think that a lot of the like incumbent developer teams that are trying to bake AI into things are just sitting down and saying, how do we make AI do the thing that we already created, instead of going back to the drawing board and saying, what do we need to throw out the window and what should this interaction be now that we have this natural language accessibility to the workflow? So there's going to be a lot of innovation that happens in startups that end up getting acquired that are not going to happen commonly in existing teams, because you're like, once you have a hammer and it's really good at hammering in nails, and you see a screw and you're like, maybe I can just hammer that in too, right?
Yep.
There is that bias to well, you're already invested in what you built. The economics of, you know, throwing all that out and taking a risk starting over is difficult inside of a company, whether it's public or private. And then I mean, as a creator, like, I think about how I've already built stuff, and I think, oh, I can solve the problems that I'm familiar with NLP now. And that's something that I get eager about doing with, and sometimes I skip that whole question of, is this the right way to do it with this new tool?
Yeah, I'd imagine it'd be pretty expensive and difficult, like you said, to like totally rewire the strategy in an existing company, like successfully, when you're dealing with humans. And I don't know.
There's a lot of fear there, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That makes sense.
I just like how Napkin AI does not output the kind of image you would ask ChatGPT, like, hey, ChatGPT, build me a nice little flowchart or diagram of what I'm trying to design here. And then it just like blurts out something that it looks nothing like what we're seeing on screen right now.
Yeah.
Okay, ChatGPT will do hella good mermaid, though. Mermaid diagrams.
Oh.
I haven't.
know.
You have to push it sometimes. You have to really work
push
it to tell it how you want things laid out. So I feel like there's definitely a better experience to be had there somewhere. But Mermaid.live has been building their own AI-powered version of Mermaid.
Yeah.
So they're probably going to hit on it at some point.
Wait, is it something where you can edit after it's been created, or this is like, it's like the final
It's
version?
Markdown. So
Oh,
it's charts and diagrams and things, but it's codified in Markdown. So you know how you have code blocks in Markdown?
Yeah.
Mermaid is a supported type of code block. And then it renders as SVG or something like that.
That's awesome. I should probably try
Yeah.
that out. Like adding it to my ever-growing list of things to try.
Yeah, I have 3 new tabs to go check stuff out just since you started talking.
Where do you save that information? Is it just tabs, or do you have like a reader-wise or some type of, I don't know, bookmarking?
So I have a black hole in my bookmarks. It's a directory called Need to Read.
All caps?
Camel case with a number 2. Yeah, no spaces, because you know, Linux world. The other black hole is my phone. If I think it's really important to read, I'll open it as a tab on my phone, and now I have hundreds of tabs in my phone's browser. And then otherwise, if I really, really, really have to read it, it stays open until I close the tab. And I attempt every day to go through and close out whatever tabs I can. And I kind of like pick the low-hanging fruit at the end of the day. What can I read? And close and get off my plate.
At the end of the day, that's impressive.
I mean, like, if it's something that I can read when I'm going to sleep or something like that, and loosely pick up ideas, even if I'm not like super tuned in on memorizing all of the intricate details, that's when I'll try to knock out some of the lighter weight stuff. It's hard to keep up, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I wake up actually earlier nowadays just to try to catch up on things. I don't know if any of you are early risers, but for me, I think 5:30 a.m. is early.
I know Ned was getting harassed by me early in the morning, so he knows I'm up pretty early.
Oh, oh, sweetie, I've been up for an hour and a half at that point. I have children, and my wife's a teacher, so she gets up early already. So yeah, our wake up time is like 5 usually.
That's very fun. Are you naturally?
I was not naturally that way, and over the last 15, 16, how long have I been married? Like 16 years, I have been trained to now be a morning person. And now if I wake up past 7, I feel like I've wasted some of the day. I'm like, oh no, I'm so far behind.
Yeah, I've learned pretty quickly that I can be annoying in the morning. I thought that I was like a quiet person who just gets the day started. No, I actually want to talk. So that's not great, I think, for most people. I got to work on that.
Yeah, I want to sit and drink my coffee and do like the crossword of the day. I need that to kind of like boot my brain up.
Well, speaking of Canva, I did not use anything AI related to Canva because no, we just said that it's not great. But I do like the templates that they do have, and I just copy them and put things that I want inside of them. So that's kind of like what I worked on a little bit with this whole AI agents world. Speaking of, I don't know how much you guys have been digging into or building stuff with agents. Has anyone?
Yeah, I've been experimenting with it, trying to build. Well, the thing that we were actually working on last week was I was using agent mode in Copilot to help build. And then we ran into an error, but the error actually turned out to be the LLM model we were using in Bedrock. One of them wasn't available in Canada where we deployed everything. And the other one had a quota limit on how many queries you can send per minute, and we'd exceeded that. So that wasn't something that the Copilot, well, maybe it should have known. You know what it should have known? It should have told me, hey, I just looked at your deployment. You're in Canada and you can't use this model. But it didn't. It had no idea. And so then I had to spend maybe 15, 20 minutes researching into the models and what's available. But fortunately, the whole thing's written in code, so I can tear it all down and deploy it in another region. So that's maybe next week.
Did you already swap it to the other region? Or no? Okay.
No, I haven't moved it yet. Should be pretty quick, though. I mean, it's like a couple Lambdas and an S3 bucket. It's not a ton of infrastructure, and it all comes up fast. But yeah, that was my experience. And what I wrote something else with an agent recently. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, you know what? So I create courses for Pluralsight, and a lot of those courses need demonstrations. And I tend to write the script for the demonstration, like the actual words I'm going to say, before I actually write out all the code for the demonstration. And so this week I was doing a course for Vault, and I was like, you know what? I've written out this whole thing. Why don't I just drop this in the agent and tell it to write the demo files for me? And it got me like 90% of the way there. I was like, this is amazing. I still had to put my own, spin on it, but it was just great. It, like, saved me probably an hour of typing out all these like Bash and PowerShell scripts. And then because I have to do it for both platforms, even if I write it in PowerShell, okay, now I need to adapt this to Bash, and it's going to be subtly different. I could figure it out, or I could just tell the agent, hey, create this other file based off of this one, but use Bash instead of PowerShell. And it takes, I don't know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Great.
That's awesome.
I have been less annoyed when I have to touch PowerShell because I know what I need to do in a Linux world, and I'm just like, that, but Windows.
Yeah. I got a lot of my scripting start in PowerShell, so
yeah,
I feel more comfortable in that. Especially making like loops and conditional statements and stuff like that. So if I can just have the agent be like, all right, turn that into bash, I can read it just fine. I just have sometimes struggle to write it properly.
I am vice versa, exactly.
That between the two of us, we've got this shell scripting thing.
Powers combined, we can tell AI when it's wrong.
It's always wrong.
So Nnenna, you're going to tell us about LLM-Ready?
What's that?
Oh my gosh. Is it ready? No. But the goal is for people to be LLM ready. Let me see. Okay, so it's this project that I just started working on. I'm hoping at some point I can get more people involved. And essentially, I'm like, wait a minute. We are in a time where this is not the content creation and like visibility of products out there for companies. It's not just all about Google and Google SEO and the user experience. It's like people are building these, I don't know, people are building and they're agents that are just crawling, the web. How are like different content across the internet sphere going to be crafted in a way that makes it a better experience for agents? And I'm just like, not that I like care about agents, because I hate thinking of it like that way. It's just how will they be able to get all the information that they need from these different companies, from these different blogs or documentation in the most optimal way. So that's why I created LLM-Ready. I call it like a resource hub, and I think about it in a team, I guess, sense of like developers, product managers, and designers. A lot of different people and different functions would probably need to be thinking about how for example, their documentation would need to be updated to be utilized and found and searched, crawled by agents that are, sending out all of these like search functions and crawlers. And so that's why I kind of created this. It's super new. My job right now is to find as many products as I can that are being built in order to solve any problems in this space. Agent first design principles, or how your information architecture needs to change or be adaptable for your docs, or maybe your product to show up in search engines, AI as search engines. People are using ChatGPT and I don't know, Claude, Perplexity, whatever as search engines. So how is your stuff going to be the thing that's recommended in the results for users? There's something that has to change at companies in order to be prepared for that future. So yeah, this is the place where I want to slowly collect and build all of the links that would point to the most useful tools to make that come to life, and for people to have a better understanding of how to build LLM ready or LLM forward applications and products. And yeah.
So if I wanted to learn how to build an agent from scratch, this would give me some good blueprint / guidance as to how to do that?
No. This would not be about actually engineering or building the agents. This is about how can we ensure that the products that we are building are going to be picked up by agents, or that's kind of the approach.
Okay, so from a product perspective, you have to think about users that are going to be expecting intuitive natural language interfaces, or expecting that your site, when it's hit by say ChatGPT deep research, that it's going to get the best information that's relevant to what that prompt is actually needing. or which is interesting because it almost deserves some amount of like prompt passing into more complex queries. So I mean, just from a Wikipedia perspective, like just because ChatGPT Deep Research Googles or uses a search engine and finds a result in Wikipedia through typical search engine heuristics doesn't necessarily mean that that is the Wikipedia knowledge most relevant to the original prompt. So at some point, there's probably going to be prompt passing involved and other like interior NLP processing before returning results for deep research type engagements. From a documentation and just like content perspective, one thing that I see probably happening with documentation is that, I mean, we've seen the MCP server for AWS docs come out. I think documentation on big projects is probably going to be similar, or even non-technical documents, whether it's newspapers or what have you, are going to have to be MCP friendly in some capacities that they never had to consider before. So there's like all of these shifts that an entire ecosystem of information has to make to like adjust for the oncoming shift in the user experience people expect.
Exactly.
So I really appreciate that. Yeah, LLM-Ready is kind of front and center for you, because I've loosely been thinking about those things changing. I haven't really sat down to write, okay, at every single interaction point, what needs to be different for this to be the most successful, AI optimized, generative and query responses.
Yeah, you are. It's exactly what I started thinking about from like a SEO side. That was what made me start to think about it. It's like, okay, working on a team and with an SEO agency, and they're like, here's how to optimize, here's our content strategy. And if you start to see some numbers go down, that can make you want to run around like a chicken with your head cut off. But like, maybe it's just that in Google, it's like maybe people are just using Google less. If they're using Google less, they're using something else more. And we got to figure out how to account for that, and how much upskilling would we need to do, and how many changes, implementations will we need to update to our strategy to capture that audience elsewhere. And I saw there was a technical writer on LinkedIn. I should have memorized this person's name, but they work at Docker, and they recently made an update to Docker's docs where there is a drop-down menu and you can copy page as markdown just for LLMs, view page as plain text, which is also great. LLMs love that. And of course, there's the Ask AI doc, but this is super progressive.
I can't tell you the number of times that I have gone to an open source project's GitHub just to crawl their repo till I find the docs directory, so that when I am parsing a bunch of docs and I find the 4 or 5 pages that I need to go work on a feature, I can just drop that into my IDE prompt window, and then I have that context. But Docker just looking at that and going, why don't we just give you a copy button? That's very low-hanging fruit and a big user experience improvement. I like it.
Yeah, it helps for both of us, both software and us.
Well, they want to see you use their software in the best way possible so that you have the best experience. And when it comes time for that net promoter score, right, you're actually telling your friends, no, this feature is in Docker that I used for this solution. I bet it would work for you too. Or, maybe that's an idea that you can riff off of. This is not a trivial change in experiencing technical problems.
Yeah, that just made me think about this in a totally different way, honestly. But I don't know what the results are. I think they're tracking to see like how does this affect things long term. They're still tracking the metrics. So we're still, just like how we've kind of been talking about with so many changes in this space. It's like we're still waiting to see what the results of these efforts are going to be, which is kind of exciting. Yeah.
So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to sitting down and reimagining how do you make sure that your content is LLM ready so that your users get the best experience with it and have the best success. But there's honestly risks to not in some regards. So, for example, Docker documentation, right? It's not that ChatGPT doesn't have Docker documentation, but most of the docs that it has and most of the other reinforcing material like forum posts and things like that are for older versions.
Yes.
And so if Docker doesn't make sure to make it easy to have the latest and greatest content that reflects the features that they are sinking a lot of money into developing, all of that like capital invested and human effort invested in new features is meaningless if people are just going to be going with whatever's in ChatGPT, calling it a day, and not using all of those new features. Or, leaving more vulnerable configurations in production just because they haven't seen the more recent documentation that would have prevented those vulnerabilities. And then that's a whole nother type of risk. So there's a lot of risks to not adapting quickly too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's much deeper than the money. But yeah, this is just an ongoing thing. Like I need to keep going back to this to update it and like reshape, and whatever new information I find, I need to consider how does that affect or this project, and how can I include these new updates in a way that makes sense for the direction that products are going in, the direction that search is going in, and how people are actually using tools. Like what I think I kind of wrote about this in a LinkedIn article. I was like, we can't control how people interact with any tool that is created, or LLMs in general in the AI ecosystem. Like we just have to pay attention, or you can just decide to pay attention. And if you're someone who is a product, then you've got to pay attention to how your users are, their behavior is shifting.
I wonder how much of this will be solved as the different agents improve and know that they should go out and look for the most recent documentation on, whatever the given website is when you're asking for a request. This is kind of like coding specific, but
aren't agents like doing that right now though? Like for the most part, they're kind of going
not
and sourcing
necessarily. You kind of have to tell them, like. If I have the Azure MCP server installed in VS Code, which means when I ask it to do something Azure related, it says, hey, do you want to do this with Azure best practices? I say yes. And then it goes out and checks the latest Azure documentation to see if this is the best way of solving a problem. But it only knows to do that because I have the MCP server installed. I don't want to have to install an MCP server for every single technology I might potentially use in VS Code. I'd rather that the agent just know, oh, you're using Docker. Well, in that case, when you want me to do something with Docker, I'm going to go out and check the best practices on Docker's website. And if Docker already has it packaged up nicely for the LLM, that's even better, right? If there's some sort of universal redirect or something on the docs page that says, if you're an LLM and you've hit this page, go here to get like a condensed version of the docs. instead of crawling all the HTML. That would be super useful.
LLM specific results would really be interesting. I bet that's probably going to happen, isn't it? If it's not already.
Almost certainly, yeah. And maybe that could also be a way of reducing the amount of traffic that AI crawlers are generating on websites. If you just have, this is like, instead of like, what is it, no robots or whatever .txt, it's like AI here.txt, go here.
Or honestly, I wonder if there's an opportunity there for using WebSockets just for a certain like duration. Like if you're expecting a run to be 60 seconds, open the WebSocket, leave it running for that 60 seconds, pull down what you need each step of the way through, and then close the socket when that generative prompt is done.
Maybe. Add that into a docs website and see, but then you have to then the AI software would have to know.
Yeah, that's a protocol level change for sure. Yeah.
But if you could establish that as a protocol that all these different models should use, then it's just a matter of promoting and getting it adopted. Maybe we just came up with another protocol instead of C and A to A. We now have like A to D, AI to docs. The A to D protocol. Let's get it going.
Careful. Cat might go build it.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Don't put all that on me. But maybe.
I'll try to write it in PowerShell and see how it goes.
I'll have ChatGPT convert it to Bash and give it a test.
Okay. Is that like when you have Google translate it from like English to Chinese to French back to English?
You know what? I'll have it go from Fortran, or sorry, not Fortran. What? How did that word just pop out of my mouth? I don't know, but I love it. Go from. See, that's how much I like PowerShell. I'm just like PowerShell, Fortran. You know, that stuff I don't use. I'll have it go from PowerShell maybe to Fortran. We'll just call it a day, and then to Python, and then to Bash, and see. Like, we'll play the telephone game here. See what percentage of it degrades with each iteration. Actually, that sounds like a pretty good, important thing to do, because kind of like a JPEG degrades when you screenshot it over and over and over, right? That's kind of what happens to a context window when you copy paste something over and over and over again. Gotta play with that.
Yeah.
A to D.
A to D.
AI to docs. I love it.
God, now I have something to work on today. Terrible idea. What am I doing?
This almost sounds like a Star Wars robot, AI 2D2. I don't know.
A2D2. Yeah, that could be like. I'm gonna go get an image generated of.
Yes. A librarian droid.
A librarian droid.
This is good.
Yeah.
Can this be the new mascot for the show?
Yes.
A2D2.
Of a library android in the style of Star Wars Lego, because it's got to be Star Wars Lego.
Oh yes, Ned. Excellent prompting skill right there. Inspired.
Now, it might yell at me because I said in the style of, and it'd be like, well, Star Wars and Lego, you can't do that.
And then, like, Disney's going to come after you. Right.
It's like, I have to go in hiding if I do that.
It might. This might take a hot minute because I'm using the new image generator on 4.0.
I want to see.
If it's awesome, then that could just become our new thumbnail.
Mark's like, the mouse's lawyers would like.
Hey, the mouse. Some of the mouse is public domain now. So
that's true. Steamboat Willie.
I know.
I can't.
Every year, more of him moves into the public domain. Like, we got the ears. Next year, we get the nose. Eventually, we'll have the gloves.
It's like dial-up loading a picture.
That's how the picture's being rendered right now by ChatGPT. So
I want to see.
Fair.
really want to see it. I hope it doesn't take another 3 minutes to render.
Do you ever get worried about like, you know, these names that you come up with out of nowhere? Do you ever feel like you got to talk to a lawyer or something about it? Because I don't know. I feel like you just never know what could end up blowing up and making the most money or something. You didn't
just
at
buy the
this
domain.
point.
That's why I
One,
have
by
like
the domain. Two,
25,
at this
30
point, a
domains.
cease and desist letter. Like, I will get that like framed and put it on a wall. Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm. I still have. Thought I was going to start a podcast called the 10-bit podcast, but it was like binary 2, and it was supposed to be a joke of that's like our 2 bits, but it was the 10-bit, and so I still have the domain called 10-bit podcast, and I never did anything with it. I have the image. Guess,
Let's see.
you want me to share my screen out somehow? Oh, I can just present an image file? That's way easier.
The suspense.
There you go.
You know what? I'm kind of into it.
I like it.
I
This
love
is
the
pretty
book on the
cool.
chest.
Yeah,
That's really clean.
so intellectual.
I like it.
All right. Well, maybe we have a new project and a new mascot. A2D2.
Brilliant.
We're coming up on the end of our hour, so
Let's make sure we thank our AI overlords just in case, you know.
well, there is that. I thought we would thank our guest.
Same thing, you know?
All right. Well, Nnenna, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope it was a fun episode for you, and it was for us. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved it. This was fun. I'd love to come back again with things that are actually like fully functioning, you know?
It's okay. Like sometimes we do these live streams and nothing ever works, and we're like, okay, well, we're done now. See you later. Haha.
Bye. No, but
Have a
this
great
was awesome.
weekend.
Thank you for having me. Seriously.
I don't know.
Thank you very
Before
much.
before we go though, I just want to say we have one more guest coming up next week. Let me share my screen here. Someone you all know, someone you all love. I have to find my window. There it is. Rozelle's going to be joining us next week, and she's going to be talking to us about Goose, perhaps.
Ooh.
All right. Well, everyone, have a
I'm gonna go watch
wonderful
Top
weekend.
Gun in preparation. So.
There you go. Top Gun. Right there. Wonderful weekend. Happy Friday. See
Happy
you all
Friday.
later.
See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.